Oh, that made it worse. Now you're really fuzzy. Either that or I gotta go get my prescription checked again. Ooh, power to the people, baby.
Well, maybe.
Hoorah.
Power, baby.
Nope.
I don't think it's working so well.
Well,
Anyway,
we
but you
might
can
have a
hear my
few tech
audio though,
issues.
right?
Yeah, your audio sounds good. That's all that really matters.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Come on.
Let's see here. We can do some adjusting, maybe.
Yeah.
Anyway, hey, what's going on in your world, in the Moncrief world?
Not much. It was kind of one of those days, the last week I hadn't been real busy doing tech stuff. Was doing the social media thing and all that. And then today it's like everybody got together and decided they had a problem. I drove around in my truck running from appointment to appointment and spent more time in my truck than I actually spent fixing stuff because all of it wasn't terribly difficult. But today was kind of crazy in the tech world. Other than that, same old thing. Wet sanding on my boat, going bass fishing, trying to.
Yeah, I mean, we got to the office today and no internet. The
Ah,
modem, whatever reason, went out.
well,
I, who knows? Ghost in the machine.
it's like I tell everybody, light bulbs work great until they burn out.
Hey, I don't know if you noticed this, but did you see? So, like, okay, Trump was like over there in Israel and in Egypt, what, less than 24 hours ago?
Right.
And so within 24 hours, he's literally over there. They're doing the peace deal and all that, right? They got that
Mm-hmm.
done, hostages released and all this. Well, within 24 hours now, you got Hamas already executing people in the streets of Gaza again. Did you see that?
Israelis? Or are they executing their own people?
No, some of their own people. Just Hamas is killing Gazans in the middle of the street, and I was just wondering if you or anybody else, if y'all seen everybody screaming bloody murder about all the genocide over there.
Probably not too many, but I mean, uh, this is kind of, well, it's related to that subject. So I know everybody's familiar with the Jimmy Kimmel situation, and Jimmy Kimmel, the comedian, getting taken off the air and then he's back on the air and all that. Anyway, he actually did have a funny skit about Trump politicking for the Nobel Peace Prize. He went like down this montage of Trump saying it for the Nobel Peace Prize. And speaking of the Israeli and Palestinian situation, did you see that the lady from Venezuela ceremonially donated her Nobel Peace Prize to Donald Trump? Did you see that?
She did what now?
She in her
She did what?
she did a news interview. The lady that got elected to Venezuela as Venezuela's prime minister or president or whatever it is in Venezuela, she
Yeah.
in an interview with Fox News, she dedicated her Nobel Peace Prize to Donald Trump and the people of the United States. Literally called out Donald Trump.
Wow. Wow. That is amazing.
Yeah,
I
so
mean, look, where I was that is amazing, and that's to the point. I got to tell you, I am glad to be alive and living and seeing the things that are happening right now under Donald Trump because 24 hours ago he was sitting over there in Israel and Egypt and all that was taking place, and then today he was there in the White House doing the presentation, posthumously recognizing Charlie Kirk, with the most coveted citizen award that there is. And Erica Kirk was there, and I mean, man, she went to breaking down, crying again, and it just struck me that Donald Trump was literally just over there 24 hours ago in the middle of all this stuff, and actually less than 24 hours later, he's right back here on the ground, and he's marching along like he ain't missed a beat.
he is a
I, the,
machine.
the news media cycle is not through talking about what he was just doing yesterday. Normally, the news media cycle is way behind. I mean, way ahead, but they're behind now. They're still talking
Well,
about God when you had this going today.
and I don't know when they shot the video for this, but my wife and I were watching a YouTube video. I think it was last night or night before last with Kai Trump, who is his granddaughter or one of his granddaughters. I don't know how many grandkids he actually has. And they were shooting around the golf. And so she's got a YouTube channel. And, it was golf with her grandpa with Trump. And the dude is a machine. I mean, look, people can say he's out of shape, he's overweight. The Democrats always want to make fun of that and eating at McDonald's and all that. But the man literally went in a drive-through window and was working the drive-through window. Like you said, he's here, he's there, he's doing this, he's doing that. And you go watch him play the round of golf at 70, whatever he is years old, 78, I think, or whatever. I mean, he just keeps going and going. Look, I get
Yeah,
aggravated at Trump about some things, but one thing you cannot get aggravated about the man, we are getting our money's worth when it comes to the number of hours that he is working. Agree with him or not.
you gotta believe. Yeah, no doubt about it. So,
Yeah.
what? I guess are we going to do a break or are we going to roll right through it?
I don't know. Let's just do the little intro for the ads real quick. We'll skip the countdown for this week and come right back. Hey, I've got a campaign video I want to show you and everybody that I got via text message not long before the show started. When we come back from the break, I want to share that with everybody. I think it's very important.
Oh, you don't say.
Yes,
I like
heroes
that campaign stuff already. Here we go.
heroes come in all shapes and sizes. I'll just leave it at that. All right. Well, let's do the quick break, folks.
Love.
This is only going to be about a 30-second break, and we'll be right back. Bear with us. We're having a little bandwidth or lag issue with Duke's audio, and so we hope everything sounds good. So if we sound a little bit delayed, don't worry about it. We'll be right back. I'm going to push the button. We'll be back in 30 seconds. How about that? This livecast is brought to you by the Outdoor News, fishing and outdoors for our area. Acadiana Mortgage, over 25 years in the mortgage business. Pelican Training and Consulting. Reach out to Julie Ferris. Smarter Geek, making technology easier. And folks sharing information and watching out. Now, grab your popcorn and a drink. Here we go. And we're back, minus the co-host. So, I guess Duke decided when we went to the break to get off the crazy train. let me send him a text message and see if his connection dropped or what's going on. So y'all bear with me just a second while I'm shooting him this text message. Has there really been a whole lot going on this week? Y'all let me know in the comments. It's been honestly a little slow politically. There was a Bossier City Council Finance Committee meeting today. They didn't have a city council meeting, just the Finance Committee. And we're going to take a look at some of that. But let me shoot Duke a text and see what's up with him. If I can type and tap and try to watch this screen all at one time. Let's see. He may be rebooting his connection to try to come back in. So I don't want to play this video that I got via text message today. It was a campaign video. I don't want to play it till Mr. Lowry gets back because I want to get his. Oh, there you are.
Well, I dropped out and came back in, see if that would help a little bit, but I don't think it did it?
Maybe a little bit. I mean, it's okay as long as it's not too laggy for you. I mean, if you need to take a break for a few minutes, you want to reboot your router or anything? I mean, it'll take 3 or 4 or 5 minutes.
Let's go ahead and just keep going.
All right. Well, look, a little bit of pause between our talking is not a bad thing, folks. Joel, just bear with us. We are a little bandwidth challenged tonight. All right. So, Mr. Lowry, we came out of the break, and I was just telling everybody that I wanted to hold off and show this campaign video till you got back on. Now, I want to know in the comments, did anybody else receive a campaign video from our superhero that we have from our area. Did y'all know that we have a superhero from our area? Whoop. And Mr. Lowry. Mr. Lowry has dropped off the face of the earth again. All right, so I'll tell you what, here we go. Let's see. Jeffrey Sadow says, "Are you kidding me? Police Jury District 1 election. Seaball announces for Caddo." We don't, look, Jeff, so I'll put this up. Jeff says, "Are you kidding me? Police Jury District 1 election." And so Lynn Beatty did win that election. Seaball announces for Caddo DA. Big whoop, we don't care. And the Bossier City budget, we're going to talk about a little bit. But other than that, as far as we're concerned, it's been a relatively slow week. So I'm going to ad lib here for a few more minutes, and let's see if Mr. Lowry comes back on, because I just really want to play this video when he is on the air to get his reaction too. So the rest of y'all let me know in the comments, other than Mr. Sadow, who, like us, is tuned into politics quite frequently. Y'all let me know what's been going on politically around the area that maybe we haven't heard about. Because look, we did the Bossier Night Out, or National Night Out, we call it Bossier Night Out, last week. And we did the drive around for that, and that was a lot of fun. And got quite a few views on that and some pretty good commentary. But y'all let me know what has been going on in our area. I'm going to check the comments real quick. Cindy Ulrich reminds me that Trump is 79. Thank you, Cindy. Very much appreciated. He's working for free. If I'm not mistaken, y'all correct me, but I think Trump does donate his salary to some kind of, his presidential salary to some kind of worthy cause. Or maybe he takes $1. I don't know what the legal requirements are. Hey, what about the shutdown? So I'm kind of split down the middle on this government shutdown. I mean, first of all, it's not like the entire government is shut down. But I have to say, our military not getting paid is a problem. And it kind of hits personally for me because I've shared this on the air. My son is in the Army. He is part of the Airborne Division. And they're not getting paychecks right now. And of course, he's got bills to pay and commitments to keep and all that. And so it's kind of putting a little bit of a bind on him. Now, I did see where Magic Mike, I mean, MJ, I mean, Walk on Water Mike Johnson made the announcement. I think it was last night or night before last. I think it was last night that Trump was doing an executive order or something. They were going to try to work to get the troops paid, I think, by Wednesday, tomorrow, or maybe Thursday of this week. Now, we'll see if that happens. But y'all let me know what you think about the shutdown. Do you blame it on the Democrats? Do you blame it on the Republicans? Is it because they don't want this one congressperson to be seated because she's going to vote to release the Epstein files? I mean, there's that rumor going out there. What do you think the reason is that the government is still shut down? And is it a good thing that the government shut down? Because it seems like the Trump administration has been handing out pink slips left and right during this shutdown. So, hey, there you are, Mr. Lowry.
I think that was the trick. Reboot the server and the whole 9 yards, and here we go.
Yeah, that's much better. I get paid quite a bit of money to tell people to restart stuff all the time.
It's almost like you've done it before or something.
Just I could do this in my sleep. Okay, so I was just rambling on and posing some questions, and I kind of dove off into asking everybody what they thought about the government shutdown. Was it the Democrats' fault? Was it the Republicans' fault? Is it because they don't want to seat the congressperson who might vote to release the Epstein files? I mean, what do you think? What's your opinion on this whole government shutdown business?
Well, it's an interesting thing. You know, right around lunch today, I got a message. Somebody said, "Hey, they wanted me to call in to a radio show down in South Louisiana, the Don Dubuque show." And I heard, you know, Congressman Steve Scalise was on. He was speaking, and when I called in, it was really last minute, and I called in, and he was getting off as I came in, and there was somebody else that had called in, and the person got on and said they just listened to Steve Scalise say nothing but a bunch of lies because he was saying that the Democrats want illegals to get medical care. And he's like, that's just a total lie. There's no way that illegals get medical care. It doesn't happen. And so I came on and I said to Don Dubuque, I said, well, Don, to your previous caller, I want to respond and I want to say one thing. I said, let me ask you a question. If you're in a car wreck or you have a heart attack or you have, a diabetic emergency or, shortness of breath or whatever, and you call an ambulance, do they ask you, are you an American or not before they treat you? I know the answer to that question.
Right.
Being a paramedic for all the years that I was, no, it doesn't matter. You get treated, and when you go into an emergency room, if you're whether it be by ambulance or whether it's you walk in there, do they question whether or not you're a legal American or not before they treat you? No, they
No.
they have a duty to act. They treat you. Well, and then they say, okay, well, that's an emergency. Yeah, they have to act. Well, part of the other problem is you've got some states that they treat that quote unquote emergency. It carries on beyond the emergency room. It carries on into other parts. When the person moves in. In fact, well, I'm not going to go there. That's for another show. But we kind of have an issue with someone in DHH here in Louisiana that is saying those same types of things, and it's just not true across the board that these illegals don't get the benefit of the healthcare system. And who pays for it? It isn't the hospitals. They just pass it off and bill it to the government. So by default, we pay for it.
Yeah, I mean, we're paying for it either way. And if you think all these millions of illegal immigrants are in here from Mexico or whatever countries, and they're not getting health care, you have another thing coming. It is not difficult to scam the system. It's really not. I'll just leave it at that. Just got a text message said the emergency rooms are the new clinics. Yes, I would agree. All right. So yeah, I mean, look, we've got some challenges. When what's your prediction, Mr. Lowry? When do you think the federal government is going to open back up for business, or should they?
Well, it's interesting that you would say that because Walk on Water actually had a little commentary on that today, and he was pointing out some of the Democrat demands before they would agree to vote, and that's another issue I want to address as well too. So they say, well, look, the Republicans have the presidency, they have the House of Representatives, they have the Senate. I mean, they're running the government. It's their shutdown. Well, there's just one problem. That is true. They have the majorities, but in the Senate, they don't have enough votes to pass it. They have to have so many Democrat votes to be able to get it passed. So, in essence, it's not their decision. They don't have the control. The Democrats know that. They're withholding those votes to pass this. It's their choice to keep the government closed. So anyone that says that it's all on the Republicans, I'm sorry. That's a lie. It's totally not true.
All right. So what's your prediction? We're on what? I don't even know. Day 12, 13, 14, something like that. How many more days do you think the government will be shut down, whether it's the Democrats holding us hostage or whatever the scenario is?
The beatings will continue until you submit. And I don't see the Democrats wanting to submit. They like it. It's a way of holding up government. They think that the military, is going to turn on the Republicans on this and end up eating all the Republicans up, and it's going to be a political win for the Democrats with the military it's hitting at one of the Republican bases. I don't think Republicans are going to blink on it. And, you just heard Trump say today, as a matter of fact, that because there's some criticism, and in fact, Mike Johnson says this in this link that I have in the notes there to share and some. No, it wasn't in this one. It was in another one. But he was saying the Democrats, some of them have uttered that they were going to sue over the way they've changed the money around to continue to fund the military. And Mike Johnson, to his credit, said, "Go ahead. We would love for you to sue to make us stop paying the military, the veterans. Yeah, go ahead and do that." But Trump announced today that some wealthy person today came forward to Trump and said that if this thing goes on and there's not funding or for the military, whoever this person is, they would pay for the salaries of the military people.
Well, I can tell you with certainty that some military folks are getting a little antsy. Let's just put it that way. So they need to do something. And look, the shame of it is they literally have to sign a contract when you join the military, as y'all well know. But the problem is they can't just not show up for work because they're not getting paid. Contract states otherwise.
Right, right.
That's the biggest problem I have. I think when the government goes back to functioning or whatever, they get the military paid. One of the first orders of business, they need to pass whatever legislation to make sure that regardless of a government shutdown, the military gets paid. Because that is the primary function of our government, the defense of our nation. Now, yeah, I've got a little bit of a selfish interest in it because my son is not getting paid currently, but it should be that way, period. I would say the same thing even if he weren't enlisted.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. So Walk on Water had a few things to say. You remember we were pretty critical of him back. Remember when the what was it, the Pakistani transgender studies and one of them
Yeah.
budgets from, I don't know if it was the first Trump term or whatever, but something in there. Well,
Yeah. It was Pakistani gender studies or something to that effect.
yeah. Well, interestingly, something in here today, he was kind of talking about something similar to that. Let's listen to him.
Here we go.
Liberal news outlets by refunding the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. It would also restore up to $5 billion of American taxpayer funds for wasteful spending for international projects. Here's a couple of examples. This is in their legislation, their counterproposal on the CR to keep the lights open. This is what they want to do. They want to spend $24.6 million of your hard-earned dollars as a taxpayer for climate resilience in Honduras. They want to spend $13.4 million for civic engagement in Zimbabwe. They want to send $3.9 million for LGBTQI plus democracy grants in the Western Balkans. They want to spend $2.9 million of your dollars for desert locust risk reduction in the Horn of Africa, and $2 million for, quote, organizing for feminist democratic principles in Africa. We are not doing that. And they would send $500 million to...
Okay, so as much as we make fun of MJ, that's pretty good. He needs to keep doing this. This is actually good.
Yeah. So look, obviously the Democrats are doubling down. I mean, they're wanting to give stupid money out to locusts in the Horn of Africa. Are you
The
kidding
locust,
me?
the locust. But let me ask you this on a serious note: these continuing resolutions to keep the lights on. Explain to me, somebody, maybe Mr. Sadow can, or friendly neighborhood politician that texts us from time to time. Explain to me why we keep doing these stopgap measures to get the budget set and all that. Why don't they actually do their job? If we keep saying actually tonight, this is going to be crazy. Why don't they do their job and not these stopgap measures to keep the lights on? Now, that does fall on the Republicans, and it falls right on Walk on Water's lap.
Yeah, it does. And I got to tell you, the fact that they are holding the line and the Republicans haven't caved up to this point, to doing some of this stupid stuff and compromising, it says to me that we might be in a new era. And I don't I don't know that it's walk on water. I don't know what role he has in here. I would say that it's primarily because of Trump and Trump's administration. I mean, because look, let's face it, Congress, both the Senate and the House, I think they would just be overjoyed if they could go back to doing business and budgets the way that they have historically done, divvying out, every little piece of the pie. But I think we're in a different place now. And Trump is the one that's guiding this here. And if he can hold all of these guys to hold the line, not cave, and change the way that they budget, I mean, it's going to change government as a whole for well beyond our lifetimes, I think, which will be to the
Yeah,
benefit of our kids.
yeah, that's true. Hey, I want to bring up another point too. So, Barry Butler says USAA has guaranteed interest-free loans to their members. Yeah, that's for USAA. But Barry, explain to me. I know you're former military. I think you were in the Air Force, if I remember correctly. Explain to me why a member of the military should have to go take out a loan because they don't get their paycheck. If Trump calls them up to whatever location to go in the world, they have to go regardless of getting paid. Just the fact that they would have to go take out a loan because they don't get their check is ridiculous. And I'd also remind you, not everybody in the military has the best credit record, and that does put a hit on their credit when they have to do that, and some of them are not capable of doing that. So it is a real challenge. I understand your point, Barry, and I appreciate the information, you putting it out there for folks, but it's just crazy that they would have to do that. Okay. Sorry, I'm off my soapbox again.
No. I mean, look, it is crazy, and I mean, crazy times that we're in. But uh, it you like you said earlier, when you sign up for the military, this is a potential, and given today's time, I mean, it's not
Mm.
surprising that this would be happening.
All right, so Larry James Hawkins says his nephew is in the military, stationed in Japan. The military did get paid today. I will confirm that when my wife gets home. No reason to doubt you, Larry, but I'll confirm and see if Jeremy got paid. So anyway, all right. Enough about beating that dead horse. What else shall we talk about?
Well, Bossier City, kind of haven't really talked about Bossier a whole lot lately. And last week, I think they had a council meeting and it was budget time. And there was they didn't pass the budget. They kind of deferred and pushed, what was presented to them. They kind of pushed it off and said, let's wait a little while before we deal with this. And they agreed or put together having, I think, a budget workshop or something of that nature. And then, they had a committee meeting today, a budget committee meeting today, which went really, really well. But there were some things that were put forward last week. We didn't do a show because we did our national night out thing, and kind of going off on a squirrel just a little bit. I'll have you to know, I got a few phone calls the next day about that.
Really?
I don't know if I don't know if you did, but I did. We haven't talked about it, but some people were kind of asking, what was your take talking to people about this annexation in the city thing? And
Ah, that,
well, yeah, it raised some eyebrows.
we got a couple of comments. They may have gotten picked up on the mic while we were doing that. One of them was something I'm paraphrasing only slightly here. Have y'all heard something about annexing? So,
Well, I got to tell you, my takeaway is I don't think people out there would vote for it. I think it's dead on arrival. Um,
well, if I remember correctly, we had one subdivision mostly against it. Not everybody, but most people. The next subdivision, they were kind of 50-50. The next subdivision, most of the people seemed for it. Yeah, it seemed to be overall kind of a split decision, but I don't think overall if it came down to the ballot box that folks would vote for it.
yeah, I don't think
Most folks didn't want to have to pay the extra taxes.
Yeah, that was the main rub. Didn't
Yeah.
want any
Oh,
increased taxes.
hey, before we get too far into the city council meeting, I've got to show the campaign video. I promised everybody I was going to do it, and we did the reboot. And anyway, but I want to show this. So, speaking of politicians, did you know that we have a superhero amongst us? A superhero from Bossier Parish. Did you know that, Mr. Lowry? Did
I did
anybody
not
else
know.
get it?
Well,
It
who
came in
is,
a text message.
or is somebody campaigning to be? You're saying a superhero? Are they campaigning to be a part of the Justice League or what?
Apparently so. You want to watch the video and check it out?
I guess. Well, I'm trying to think of anyone in Bossier Parish that could be construed as being a superhero.
uh, this guy, he puffs his chest out pretty big, apparently. So here, let me play this video again. I got this from a campaign text message just not too long before the show. Here we go.
Louisiana is finally turning the page, and Senator Adam Bass is helping lead the charge. Senator Bass helped make historic investments in our critical infrastructure and attract billions to our state to create jobs and increase opportunity. He backed truth in sentencing, making sure violent criminals serve the full time for their crime. And thanks to Senator Bass's leadership, national rankings show Louisiana's schools are on the rise. Louisiana is moving forward thanks to Senator Adam Bass.
You didn't get that video?
No, I did not get that video. Is that really? Did that really get sent out?
I swear that basic video got sent out. It did come by text message from a 225 number, Baton Rouge number, and apparently it was paid for by the Republican Legislative Delegation Campaign Committee, whatever that is.
Okay, Matt K.
That's a great video, Matt. Good job. I kind of like the outfit there. It goes with Super Senator Adam Bass.
He just flew up out from behind the lectern. He just flew out the window or something.
Yeah, after he flew around the Capitol building, and it morphed into the U.S. Capitol building.
Oh, wait a minute. Let me see some. Okay, wait a minute. Can you? That ain't the Heil Hitler salute or something. What do you call that?
Oh, the
Can you do that in
Bellamy salute. Yeah.
That ain't that in flight, is it? You can't do that in flight. Okay.
I don't think so. I don't think that's how he intended it. He's off to save everybody in Bossier Parish.
I mean, well, he needs to at least smile. He ain't got to look like he's mad or at the world or something in there. He needs to smile a little bit.
Wait a minute. Ruth Pope says, "Why are we seeing this?" I got it. See, I was not kidding.
She got it too. I didn't get nothing.
No, I told you. You're not on the list. You're not on the list. Thank you, Miss Ruth. You have validated my video. I knew I was not the only one that got that.
I guess he don't want my vote. Why is he mad at me? I ain't done nothing to him. Nothing.
Somebody needs to tag Adam Bass in the show. I'm going to post that video after the show. I'm going to post it on Bossier Watch so everybody can see what a super swell job Adam Bass is doing for Bossier Parish and Louisiana. All right. Back to our regularly scheduled stuff.
Up and away. Okay.
What are we going to talk about now?
Nobody wants to hear it after that. Okay. Traffic count discrepancies on Benton Road.
Oh, yeah, there was a little bit of that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I wonder which was right. I mean, DOTD's number or the number that was in the minutes of the council meeting. I don't know.
I'm going to go with probably DOTD's numbers, but I don't know. But Phyllis made sure to let everybody know that she just records the minutes, just the facts. She doesn't fact check anything. She just which is true. She just records the minutes no matter what's said.
Yeah, so I'm kind of going through our notes that we had for that council meeting that, from a week ago or whatever. And one of the things that jumped out at me, and you're going to hear a little bit about it here in just a minute, was there was some discussion. Actually, it was a pretty good little debate about take-home vehicles or
Yes.
and city vehicle use policy. I guess Tommy Chandler drafted some version of a vehicle use policy, probably after being pushed by the council to do so, is what I'm guessing. And some of the thing, and this one really bothered me. I mean, we really have to put in a policy no alcohol use while operating a city vehicle?
Well, there have been rumors, and I guess that policy extends from the top all the way down. There have been rumors before about certain people making stops at watering holes. I mean, I don't know how much truth there is to that, so maybe they just figured they'd make it blanket, citywide, vehicle fleet wide.
I don't know if this was in reference to any vehicles that frequent Louisiana Downs, or if this is talking about having designated drivers in vehicles while others are partaking. And I don't know if technically, the no alcohol use while operating a city vehicle. I mean, I guess so you're officially declaring that so long as you have a designated driver, it's okay.
Well, but there was discussion about who else could operate the city-owned vehicle. Did you see that part of it? There was some
Well,
discussion about that, and there was a little clarification. As a matter of fact, the fire chief, what's his name, Zagoni, got up there and wanted to make sure that, hey, if we have to put somebody in the ambulance, in the front seat, maybe it's the husband because the wife's in the ambulance or vice versa or whatever, is that going to be okay? And they clarify, oh yeah, emergencies are fine. We're not saying that, somebody has to sign a waiver before they get in a cop car.
yeah, but this one bothered me. So public safety is excluded. So it means they can drink and drive.
Well, let
I
me
mean,
let
I
me
want to
see if
go
I
back
can
to
put
work. I want to go back to work.
let me see if I can put this the right way. All right, it was my understanding through watch, and we'll play it here in a minute, folks. But it was my understanding after watching through the video that they meant in the context of the popo shows up to arrest you for a DWI. You don't have to sign a waiver to get in the cop car and ride around, or in the case of, let's say it's an ambulance or fire or something like that, they put let's say the husband's in the ambulance, he's hurt, the wife, jumps up in the front seat of the ambulance, they got to have a written waiver for her to sign, while the husband's back there waiting desperately to get to the hospital.
Well, I'm just telling you, I heard what I heard, and Hammond's made some amendment about excluding public safety. And I mean, look, I mean, if you can, no alcohol
All
use,
right.
if you're in public safety and you're excluded, I mean,
Well, let's let them clarify. Hold on, let me switch screens here, and give me just a second. Bear with me, folks. Let me do a little adjusting here so that I get the whole video in. We wouldn't want to exclude anybody. Take me just a second. I'm doing this on the fly. There we go. Okay, so let's listen to the whole thing. Here we go.
Okay, add section 2-61 point B, point 2, point B. Only full-time employees of the city of Bossier will be given a city-owned take-home vehicle. Section 2-61.B.1.f. Employees shall immediately report any revocation of their driver's license or any moving violation to their supervisor. Reporting applies whether on city or personal private business and whether in a city or personal private vehicle. Add section 2-61.C.1.c. Only individuals on official city of Bossier business are permitted to operate or ride in vehicles owned by the city of Bossier City. In order for a non-city employee to be a passenger in a city vehicle, an indemnification agreement must be completed prior to departure. Add section
That
2-61,
clarifying
C2S, do not operate a city-owned vehicle while consuming alcohol. Add section 3.B.3.
No drunk
Drivers are
driving,
personally
which is
responsible
already
for
against the law.
traffic and parking ticket fines, except those due to the condition of a city vehicle. Example, expired safety inspection sticker.
I love the way the inspection sticker fiasco. That was hot in PD, I think, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, I think so. But
Yeah. All right.
I mean, he later goes on and he says, somebody makes a contention. Yeah, Zagoni steps up there. Okay.
Yeah. Well, let's hear him. Let's go on and play it. Here we go.
And that's it.
Will you provide those to me after
Yeah,
the meeting?
I'll give these to you.
That's the gentleman.
Speed it up a little bit.
All right, Councilman Hammonds is making a motion to amend. Is there a second to his amendments?
Second.
I got a second by Councilman Cliff Smith. Are there any questions for Councilman Hammonds, or did everybody understand them?
I have a question about the third one. Just wanted to see how that's going to play out practically. So it'd just be, like if you're going on a trip as an employee, you just need your passenger, if you're going on city business, to sign something saying we're not liable for you, kind of thought process? Because they all made sense. So I just
Yeah.
wanted to
Yes.
get some clarity there.
Yeah, like on a city business trip?
Yes. I was just speaking out loud. I wanted to make sure it's practical.
Yeah, I mean, most of that, what that really pertained to is like if they're private individuals doing a ride-out with the police department, the fire department, they're signing something saying we're not liable. I think Chief Segalin's going to give a little bit more
Thank you, sir.
clarification on that.
Well, he was actually a little bit more confused on it. So I want to know, have you ever gone on a ride along with like Bossier PD or any law enforcement agency, Duke?
What?
Have you ever gone on a ride along with Bossier PD or anything like that? I don't mean have you been arrested. You know how you can go do a ride along and go see what they go through during a shift at night and all that. I've never done it because they won't let you carry a weapon, and I'm
Well,
not going
you-
to do that unarmed.
I thought you knew that I went through the Reserve Academy training, and look, I drove a cop car in hot pursuit one time.
Ah, see, you didn't tell me all this. You didn't say all this part of it. I just knew that you had been through some of the reserve training. I'm trying to spark
but-
discussion here, Mr. Lowry.
Before I retired, I actually went down there. I went through their academy, and I was a commissioned officer in Bossier for a while.
Okay.
Yeah, I did all
But-
that.
But you would have to sign some paperwork for that. But I'm asking, as a citizen, have you ever, or anybody in the comments, ever done a ride along with Bossier PD or the Sheriff's Department, or pick your law enforcement agency if you're not, originally from Bossier? Have you ever done one of those ride alongs? And more specifically, my question is, did you have to sign a waiver or anything before you did that ride along? If you did it like as a regular citizen, not as a officer in training or a reserve officer or something. That was my point.
Yeah, I got you. Overall, this thing on the vehicles and the driving policies and all this stuff, and especially regarding the alcohol thing. Here's what I can tell you. I know that over the years, I don't know that it's an issue of people knowing that they should or shouldn't do certain things. I think it's an issue of holding people accountable, because there have been countless people in Bossier City government, and from elected officials to employee level people and appointed people, who have been under the influence that nothing was done to them. I mean, it has been something that has it's just a way of doing business in Bossier. And I'm sorry to say, nobody has stood up to this thing and really done anything about it. And I'm glad this council's talking about it. I don't know. I wish there's some way that they could find to put some kind of, whistleblower protection to point out some of these people in government that are doing these things, because it's still happening. And then there's some way to provide accountability of it and
Right.
hold people accountable, because it's still happening.
Yeah, I mean, it's not illegal to drink and then drive. It's illegal to drink, well, open container, I guess is, but it's illegal to drink until the point where you are beyond legally drunk or legally drunk and beyond, and then drive. So the average person could go out, and I'm not suggesting you do this, but the average person could go out and have a beer along with dinner, drive home. The vast majority of people would not be legally drunk at that point. But, they're just clarifying that, well, employees shouldn't even do that, or no drinking at lunch, or no stopping by the watering hole on your, well, I'm not gonna go that far. So
Hey,
anyway,
Jeff Sadow says Bass is taking credit for educational gains. He was one of the ringleaders that weakened accountability by allowing not all exceptionality students to take the ACT to graduate.
he was one of the ringleaders that we got. Huh.
And then, of course, David Crockett, you pulled up there. I shall do a ride along and make sure I get to visit Maggio's grocery without being arrested. Colonel, just make sure you don't have anybody's campaign signs with you when you do it. Okay.
I meant ride along in the front seat of the car, Colonel Crockett, not in the back seat behind the bars.
Yeah, Colonel.
He was one of. Let me put this comment up here. I'm rereading this. I know we're kind of skipping around or skipping backwards for a second, but he was one of the ringleaders that weakened accountability by allowing not all non-exceptionality. I'm not sure that's grammatically correct, but anyway, students to take the ACT to graduate. Clarify that, Mr. Sadow. Clarify what you mean by that. Throwing me for a loop there.
I think I know what he's talking. I think I know what he's talking about, but I'll leave that. I'll leave that to him to do. I was giving all the credit, I guess, wrongly to Cade Brumley, because I thought that the improvements that we were seeing were a direct result of progress that Cade Brumley was doing. And I ain't saying that Bass didn't do anything, but I thought
you're wrong. It was Super Adam.
I don't know who it was. I honestly don't, but I thought Cade Brumley had a big hand in all of that stuff.
No, you were apparently wrong, Mr. Lowry. It was Super Adam. Super Adam Bass. Super Senator Adam Bass.
Does that make you feel uncomfortable? Anyway.
All right. Let's see what Zagoni had to say about this whole ride-along policy, and we'll move on. Here we go.
I really have a question about that. So this will be a form, I'm assuming, but what if we pick up a patient and we put the mother in the front seat, or the mother in the back with the patient, the spouse in the front seat of the ambulance? We do this all the time. So.
Yeah, no, this is not pertaining to any, medical emergency situation or anything like that. Somebody gets arrested, they're in the back seat of the car, we're not going to
I'm having a heart attack. Sign this waiver first.
And are you an illegal or not?
Exactly. Are you illegal? No, I don't think so. Okay, great. Sign this waiver first. Okay. Let's get up. Colonel Crockett brings up a couple of points. Let's listen to Colonel for a second.
At 653 Domain Drive, Bossier City, Louisiana. I was going to make this comment about the budget, but I fully agree with your changes, except that I just want to throw something out to the City Council. The federal government has basically mandated that nobody gets a drive-home vehicle. You don't even get that at the base. One person gets to drive a vehicle home, and that's the wing commander, because he is when an emergency response happens, he's the on-scene commander. So to me, when I look at, I don't know how many government vehicles Bossier City has, but I'm guessing it's in the hundreds. How many people take their vehicles home? How much gas does the city pay? How many people drive their vehicle home and they don't even live inside the Bossier City limits? Those are burdens on the budget in Bossier City. If you change this policy, and this doesn't mean that this is the only time that you change it, because I'm sure you could do some of these things by resolution. I fully support what you're saying. But I suggest that in the future you think a little bit more deeply on this. You might think that it's because you promised somebody or told them you were going to have a vehicle if you took this job. You can pass it by resolution and change that, and it changes the policy. You could have every government vehicle parked at the city hall, and if you're not a city first responder, there's no real reason for you to take your vehicle home at all. You would probably cut your vehicle mileage maybe by half it might extend the life of these vehicles where it would have been a
I know.
4-year-old vehicle by the time you replaced it to
I
an
get his
8-year-old vehicle.
I get his point, but I think, Colonel, with all due respect, I think you're overshooting the mark. Look, most employees are going to live within 5 miles of Bossier City. That's nearly all the way to Benton. Now, that's on just a rough average I'm figuring off the top of my head. There may be some that live more. There are going to be some that live a lot closer. And 5 miles home and back to work, assuming they're working around City Hall, is only going to put about 10 miles a day on the vehicle, even if you say more than that. I mean, you allow, I don't know, 50 cents a mile, which is more than what it costs to run a vehicle. I mean, you're still talking somewhere super quick, really rough math. You're still talking $250,000 a year. So that's, hey, the city could buy an extra parking lot or two for
Well,
$250,000.
yeah, yeah. Well, here's the rub. It's always been allegedly that, the take home vehicles was a benefit that they could give to someone to take a position or whatever that they may not were able to have the salary at a level where it should be, and having the take home vehicle was an incentive, in place of having the pay or the salary or what have you. Well, they had the salary study, and I'm not sure if the take home vehicle was weighed in and calculated in that or not. Honestly, I ain't spent the brain cells to look at it. I'm sure maybe some of the councilmen or somebody has, but it it raises a question. Should the pay be raised, or should you be given the incentives? Well, there's a couple of different arguments to be made here.
Sure.
We're going to see a debate here in a minute about part-time employees and whether or not part-time employees should get more money or not. And interestingly, there's an argument to be made for what the point Deborah Ross is making about part-time employees. So by this argument that you give somebody a take-home vehicle so that you're not having to pay retirement and workers comp and all that kind of stuff on that thing that you're giving the employee as a benefit. On the same note, uh, a part-time employee, you don't have to give benefits. So it would seem like to me that you would be better off to have more part-time employees rather than fewer. And so therefore you would want to give more pay to incentivize people to take a part-time role, you know, uh, that way you wouldn't have the overhead of the other stuff. I mean, I don't know.
Mm.
I don't know
It's
if anybody down there's thinking that way except Deborah Ross on that.
yeah, it's worthy of the discussion. And yeah, I think didn't she mention that during the finance committee meeting today? Correct.
Yeah, she
Finance
did.
committee. Yeah.
She
Okay.
did, as a matter of fact, and I was sitting there listening to it, and that's what made me say what I just said, because it got me to thinking about what she was saying, and I don't think she said what she was meaning there, but I think that's what she was trying. Maybe not.
Okay.
But
Well, we'll check that
it
meeting
got
out here
my
in just a
wheels
second.
spinning.
Yeah, we'll flip over to that one here in a second. So I just want to show this vote on the Hammond's amendments. Here we go.
So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain?
All right. Sounded like a unanimous vote to
carries.
me.
All right, now I will need a motion to approve
Yep.
as amended.
So moved.
All right, so
Okay, so that's pretty much the notes that I had out of. Again, that's last Tuesday's city council meeting. They didn't have one today. They had the finance committee meeting. So if you want, we'll go ahead and jump over into the finance committee meeting and take a look at that.
Yeah, let's see that.
All right, so let me do a little screen switching here, and let me click on this and click on that, and there we go, finance committee meeting, and then flip back over to there. Okay, first timestamp, the current budget synopsis. Are you ready?
No, actually, I'm not ready, but
Oh,
I,
okay.
I'm trying to find something. Somebody just shared a little information with me, and if I can find it, this will be pretty amazing. But anyway, okay, yeah, I'm ready. Let's go.
Okay. I mean, it's our show. We can take all the time that we want, Mr. Lowry.
I will disregard that road that I was fixing to go down, and maybe somebody can send me a link to it. We'll see.
Okay, here we go.
At the current budget we were given right away, there was an $11,000 surplus in our budget. Now, that was including a roll forward of $800,000, which meant if we did not pass that roll forward, we were going to have a $89,000 deficit. Our general fund reserve status, which is very important, that's our savings account. It has an ordinance on file, that's Ordinance 41 of 2015, and it has to be 15% of expenditures. We are well above that number. Bossier City is in a strong financial position. Capital projects, those are always a big ticket item, and they're something that matters and is one of our main jobs as a council and as an administration. We have two on the books. We have the Council for Aging. Now, we paid for that, but we are going to remodel the Council for Aging. There's going to be some other things involved in that building. We also have a maintenance building for the fire department that looks like it's going to be around $2 million. Is that correct? That we are working on now. Other than that, we have no capital projects to forecast with this budget. Fiscal challenges. Prices are going up. I think we can all feel that at the gas tank and everywhere else we go. Insurance costs are going up, and that is going to be one of our headwinds that in the future we're going to have to continually consider. Employees, it's getting harder to keep, manage, and pay employees. And then chemicals for spraying weeds and fuel. Those are the two numbers that I've noticed in this budget that have been a little bit higher than normal. Our opportunities. Our parish is in the top 10 parishes in Louisiana of growth. If you live in a surrounding parish in Bossier Parish, you come into Bossier City to buy things. That helps us as a whole. Our decisions should continue to grow the people in Bossier Parish. That should be our goal. And then I'm going to talk about bonds because I like to nerd out on bonds a little bit. We did do a refinancing of bonds, and we saved, what is that number? A year. And how much was it total?
This is interesting, folks. Listen.
So we've saved $5.9 million by having a couple meetings and really sitting down and looking at our bonds. There is $38 million in bonds that are at a 0.09 interest rate. Those are DEQ. Those are great rates. We have $151 million in utilities that we paid for infrastructure that we needed. And then we have $182 that were used in other infrastructures, Walter O'Bigby along those lines. We still have a AA rating in our bond rating. Like I said, Bossier City's financial position is strong. We're going to talk a little bit about where we get our revenue from. So we get our revenue, around 50% of that is from sales tax. Another 25% comes from property tax, and another 25% comes from rates, fees, things like water bills, along those lines, trash, those kind of things. Trends over the last 3 years, those were numbers that I was very graciously given right away. I appreciate that. 4 to 5% over the past 3 years have been the trend of our sales tax growth. That means we're doing something right in Bossier Parish. Also, on the other side, our expenses have gone up at 4 or 5% as well over the last 3 years, and that's an average. But this year is no different. We're on line for that number. Pay raises were a big one for this year that we noticed in the budget. That number was around $6 million, if I'm not mistaken, in that ballpark. So that is something that as a new council we walked into that we needed to make that decision. It needed to happen, but that is something we'll have to consider as we walk through this budget. Technology costs.
All right, commentary.
Yeah, so I was going to say, look, I mean, Joel did a wonderful job kind of articulating kind of where things stand, and he put it out there in a palatable way. And I think just kind of like, for example, just simplifying the revenue, 50% comes from sales, 25% from property, 25% from water bills, sanitation, blah 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 blah. I mean, I like the way he was presenting it. I think a lot of folks' eyes glaze over. Sometimes mine do. When you kind of get down into some of this stuff, but he articulated it well.
Yeah, he did. And so it didn't take Mr. Sadow long. He says, Mr. Joel noted that sales taxes were increasingly annually an average of 5%. We're increasing annually 5%. That's because of inflation, and expenditures have done the same, in part because of inflation hitting those items he mentioned. So the revenue increase isn't really due to anything the city has done, but is an artifact of inflation. And remember, folks, the city of Bossier is not really growing. It's relatively stagnant. The parish is growing, but the city itself is not, or has not been for a couple of years.
Yeah, so he has a few more comments, and then he kind of opens it up to the other two councilmen that are on this committee, Deborah and Cliff. And Deborah Ross jumps in right out of the gate, and she jumps on a couple of things that are important to her. And let's hear what she had to say.
All right, here we go.
My pet peeve is that I wanted to make a one-time donation to Ronald McDonald to be headed into the budget in the coming year. And also, I'm still interested in the part-time employees getting some type of pay increase, because there is a need for them, and we have 28 permanent full part-time employees, and the ones that are seasonal are the ones that call the games at the softball field. So there are 28 employees that I think definitely need some type of incentive to let them know that we do appreciate them, and that there is a need for them, because you have gyms and things that are open, community centers that are open after hours, and there's no way that you can get rid of those employees, because unless you close the centers down at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And if I'm not mistaken, I think now they're staying open to maybe 8 o'clock at night. So you need someone to cover those hours, unless you plan on splitting a 12-hour shift with the full-time employees, and then that's going to make them part-time employees. So that's kind of my spiel on that. And also, as far as the capital outlay, I think you said that there wasn't any, or you didn't have plans for any.
There was two.
There were two?
Currently.
I didn't hear you say which one that it was, but I'm still interested in Hamilton Road being redone, because that is a great need, and it's not the main artery of the city, but it is a part of the city leading from one area to another. So I'm still would like to see that done as far as the budget is concerned. And I also, Scott Street.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so she goes on and she mentions, a couple of streets, in her district, Scott Street and all, and those roads are definitely, they're rough, and they need some work. But Hamilton Road, I mean, which is definitely a valid point, and great that she brought it up, and I think she was, trying to bring it up in regards to, a capital, long-term capital type thing that we needed to be thinking about, and hat tip to her for bringing it back front and center, because that was the appropriate thing to do. But going back to the couple of points that she was making, one about the part-time employees, again, I contend, and I don't know, maybe I'm trying to help her with her argument here. I don't know if she was or if she wasn't, but again, I think more part-time employees overall, through the city is financially, it's the same thing you're doing with the incentives on the cars. I mean, what is the difference? I mean, you're trying to escape, more costs for things. You're just finding a creative way to doing it. And
Well,
as
here's, but let me throw this out there again, because the thought just went through my head. I want to raise this point again. Do we need more city employees, full-time or part-time? The city, Bossier City itself, is relatively stagnant as far as population goes right now. A couple of years it may grow a little bit. A couple of years I think it slightly decreased, but it's relatively stagnant right now as far as growth goes. Do we need more city government, or do we have plenty to work with right now? Again, it's kind of my argument for buying that building, the city buying the building over there off of Benton Road by the McDonald's. Well, do we actually need that, or are we like busting at the seams? That's my question.
I can't answer that question in regards to that deal, but I do know that, they incorporated part of that, the well, not the Meals on Wheels, the older people
The Council for
thing.
Aging.
Council on Aging. Yeah, there we go. They incorporated that. They were going to do something with that, and they've been putting that off and pushing it off and pushing it off. It's a good program. They needed to address it. And, I think they come to a conclusion at some point in this deal to wind all those things together and make this deal happen. You know, Ultimately in the end, just like today, I spoke here at this deal. And I made a comment, and you'll appreciate it because you'll remember it. And a lot of the folks that watch our show will remember it because I made a comment about, don't do these things until you have all the answers, permitting, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So same thing in this deal. I think all of this council knows that they need to have their I's dotted and their T's crossed. So I don't think they would make the same mistake of not making sure that every stone was unturned before they made this decision. So I'm going to trust in them that they did their due diligence in going down this road and trying to purchase that building and put this thing together. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt until I see that it's wrong. So that's just
I'm not disagreeing, and maybe we do need it. I'm just saying there's a lot of land over there at the current city hall, and I don't see a bunch of people stuffed in offices over there. Maybe there is, and the point on the Council on Aging is a valid one. I'm not saying I'm totally against it. Again, it goes back to my premise. If the population is not growing, why is the government growing? Same argument can be made about state government. State of Louisiana, population-wise, isn't really growing. Why do we keep growing the state government?
Well,
so I'm just asking the same question at the city level.
I don't know that it's fair to say that city government is growing. I don't know that it is. I would contend that it's not, because I think there's still quite a few vacant, staffing positions that haven't been filled. The staffing levels I don't think are at maximum. So I don't think that they've added any more. If anything, if you wanted to say they've added more, the addition of Manchac or Wagner doing the city stuff, that could be construed as an addition. But remember, they canceled out city employees when they moved over to that.
True.
I don't know if there was ever a good study or audit of, the cost benefit to that whole project. I mean,
wait, you mean Tommy didn't fulfill his campaign promise about auditing Manchac? It's been a long time since we've had to bring that up, Mr. Lowry. Many episodes.
Yeah. It has. I've got like three different people all messaging me at the same time. And
do they not know that we're doing a live show?
No, I think they do know we're doing a live show, but because we've mentioned some of them during the course of this show,
they're blowing up your phone.
That tends to generate a response, and I'm being informed that there are other videos as well of other senators.
I'm gonna have so much fun with this. That one that you sent me, I'm just going to say, instead of superhero, racehorse. That's all I'm going to say about that. It's coming down the pipe. All right. So, yeah, what point do we want to go to in the comments from this meeting? What's the next jump that you would like to go to?
So to the Hamilton Road thing, I think there's another point that I have it marked in here. Amanda comes up and she kind of talks about Hamilton Road, and so does Hammonds. Brian Hammonds was there. He was out in the audience. He came up and spoke regarding that. But overall, the gist of it is I believe that the Hamilton Road issue, I do know from the previous with Bubba and Don, Bubba and Montgomery and Darby and all that whole crew, there was the Hamilton Road is problematic primarily because of the railroad. I mean, you can easily tear the road up, build a new road, no problem, but you've got that
Railroad trestle.
railroad trestle. That is the biggest problem, and then dealing with the railroad.
Yeah,
But
we know the city's history of dealing with the railroads.
it's colorful and all over the place and inconsistent. And
Right.
I would say that the graybeards, as Jeff Sadow coins them, actually got the better of the railroads, back in the day when they built the Benton Road overpass right there by Kobe and City Hall. But when it came to the Shed Road crossing, I mean, the Chandler administration just folded up their tent and just screwed up. But we all know the truth. The truth is it's because they didn't do their job. I mean, they approved this thing going forward without having all of the approvals, and who gave the advice to move forward. I'm pretty sure we can go pull the video, and
Well,
Ruttenbuck is the one that stood right there at the podium lectern and proposed about going forward. And if you didn't go forward now, it was going to cost you this much more money down the road. Well, lo and behold, guess what? It cost us more than he said.
oh,
So
of course. Hey, speaking of video, we are getting a request in. It's like we're DJs up here. Matt K is checking in and says he just checked in for the Superman Adam Bass video. Can we play it again? We do
Well,
have a tip jar and we take donations, Matt K. This is like a DJ.
we're getting all kinds of videos sent to us tonight. I mean, you just got to play them all. I mean, like the two I sent you a while ago. We've got the one you had and then two more. I don't know.
All right, hold on for a second. Hold your thoughts for just a second. We'll get back to this budget meeting just for Matt K. And because I think it's funny too, I'm going to play the Super Senator Adam Bass video one more time. It's short.
Louisiana is finally turning the page, and Senator Adam Bass is helping lead the charge. Senator Bass helped make historic investments in our critical infrastructure and attract billions to our state to create jobs and increase opportunity. He backed truth in sentencing, making sure violent criminals serve the full time for their crime. And thanks to Senator Bass's leadership, national rankings show Louisiana's schools are on the rise. Louisiana is moving forward thanks to Senator Adam Bass.
Thank you, Senator Adam Bass. Paid for by Republican Legislative Delegation Campaign Committee. There we go. I had to read that off. Not really paid by them. We'll just put it that way.
He just flew out from behind the lectern. He just took off.
Yeah. That's what we need. We need superhero council persons. That's what we need. But I would say that would have to be probably Brian Hammonds. He's the superhero of the bunch. All right, but I digress. Okay, so what's the gist of this finance committee meeting? Is there another spot that we need to go and listen to them, or
Well, yeah, Joel gives a little bit of stuff on his view on the part-time workers, but let's jump ahead to the 2416 mark, and Joel goes back and kind of does a little after he hears Deborah and Cliff have a few comments, and he gives another recap, and he throws out something new that I don't think everybody has heard. And you need to pay attention to this and listen closely.
Okay, here we go.
Councilman Cliff Smith?
No.
Okay, I have a decent amount, but most of it's recap of what we talked about before. Myself, along with Angela, sat down for a meeting to discuss this $800,000, the 3% decrease in some budgets across the board, which was attacking a problem. We could not end up with a deficit. That is not being a good steward of money. Since we sat down, like I said, I love bonds. I'm kind of a nerd in the finance world. I do see a path to take the LCDA money of $11.5 million or so and paying off a $13 million bond that we have. This would not only save taxpayers $4.9 million in interest over the next 15 years, but it would also give us another cash option of about $900,000 a year that we're not going to have to pay in debt service. I think it's a no-brainer to be able to cover some of the expenses that we were looking like we needed to, but that's my opinion for one part of that problem. What are y'all's thoughts there? I kind of went in the weeds, but
All right, I'm going to stop right there. Go ahead. Explain what he was talking about, Mr. Lowry.
Well, so what he was talking about was I'm assuming, I don't know if it was him. He didn't say it was him individually that came up with this or what have you, but somehow or another, some way, collectively, this council has come up with an idea. They were looking at, according to the budget that was put forward by the mayor's office last council meeting that we were just talking about earlier, about, potentially an $800,000 shortfall per se. Well, they came up with the idea of paying off one of the bonds and using LCDA money, which, basically is another bond loan money, I guess,
Right.
in cheaper interest or something of that nature, but taking money and paying off of this one bond, which would ultimately save them enough money to where they wouldn't have this shortfall and have to consider, rolling millages forward or cuts or the whole 9 yards. So
Interesting idea. Let me try to simplify it in my mind. So it's like you've got two credit cards. One's at a slightly higher interest rate than the other. So you take the slightly lower interest rate card, pay off the higher one, and now you're at a lower rate, thus saving the interest money at least. You still got the debt to pay back. Um, I guess that's doable as long as legally they can do that. Depending on what the deal with the loan from the through the LCDA was.
yeah, and he goes on through this and talks about numbers a little bit more, and he went pretty fast, and that was one of the reasons that I actually got up and spoke, because I wanted to get clarity, because there was mention, and Amanda got up and spoke to it a little bit as well, and they were talking about that there was so much money was going to have to come out of the general fund. They're going to take so much money out of the LCDA bond, and then so much money out of the general fund to pay off this other bond. But I didn't actually hear the number that it was going to be that they were going to have to come up with out of the general fund to do it. And that also additionally, to me, raises a couple of questions. I mean, I, I guess the bond lawyers and the bond commission and all of them are going to, check all of this and say, hey, yeah, this is legal. You can do it all. But overall, if they can do this and pull it off, hat tip to the council, because,
Yeah, if it's legitimately saving money, I'm all for it.
well, yeah, it makes perfect sense. I mean, and it, but why? But it's got to beg the question: why haven't they done this before? And not this,
Now you're
not
asking the right question, Mr. Lowry.
that's right.
Didn't we have a city council guy that was a CPA? He was also, if I remember correctly, refresh my memory, at least some kind of accountant type. And wasn't he also like an insurance guru? And he always told us they didn't shop around because he knew what they were doing, blah, blah, blah.
That is exactly right. And you know, I'm not wanting to go bash the old stuff and keep going there, but part of that discussion, I mean, and there's some validity in this. So look, we all realize that if you go to get a home loan or car loan or whatever it is today, it's going to cost you more money to do it. Interest rate's going to be higher, right?
Right? Right.
I mean, it's going to be a lot higher than, let's say, 5 to 10 years ago. The interest rates, you could have went and you got really good rates. The money would have been cheap. So you've got, and I'm not, look, I'm not trying to carry the graybeard's water. And Sadow, I'm sure will find some way to rip me here in what I'm trying to articulate. But, and I'm not saying I agree or disagree. But what I'm saying is I think their ideology was it was cheap money back then, and let's
Right.
hoard money because we can have it for cheap. And now we're transitioning into a different economy. Money's not cheap anymore, and holding on to this isn't the way to go, because Amanda gets up there and starts talking here in a little bit, and I think the interest on that one bond might be 5%.
Mm.
And it didn't like the 0.5 or the 1% bond money. I mean, this she was saying 5%, and over the course of that bond, it was going to fluctuate. I think over the next 3 years, it was 5%. Then I think she said 3%, then 4% or something like that. It kind of was up and down quite a bit, but still, it was a higher interest rate. So it makes sense to get rid of it if it's floating. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, it does. So I've pulled up where she's talking about the 50-minute mark. Is that where she was talking about that, or where do you? I don't know if you had time to mark that, or which one you want to jump to next.
That's all the way almost to the end, right?
Yes, it is.
No, it was way before that. But what I would say is, you could jump to, he recapped 24. You jumped off that point, so go to 4206 mark, and let's listen to Brian Hammonds.
Okay, just a second here. I was trying to search through the actual transcription and see if I could find it. 4206. Here we go.
Brian Hammond's elected.
Yes, sir.
Just what Mr. Crockett was saying there, I will be having an infrastructure meeting in about 2 weeks.
Excellent.
So a lot of what he was commenting on will be handled in that committee. And what he was talking about, the $1 million that we appropriate every year, 200,000 for each of the 5 districts except for the at-large districts. $300,000 more was just added to that for more projects that Public Works and RVP have come upon in our districts. So what Ms. Ross was saying about her district needing that, really need to check. I will check into it with Wade and see what has been spent in your district to see what is left in your district. A lot of the on-demand projects were already set in stone before you were elected. That was gone through with Mr. Darby planning for the year ahead in the projects in that district. So really, it should have been they should have met with you and also gone over those projects with you so you would know what is being taken care of in your district with that money. But I will find out what has been spent in your district and what is left. And if out of that 300,000, if you have certain areas that are panels that are completely falling in and stuff like that, then we can handle that in the infrastructure committee and see where we need to move some money around for that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Can you do that for all of us?
Do I?
Can you tell all of us what we've had spent?
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, we could probably we could spend every bit of the money that we have in every account on city streets, sidewalks, everything like that.
Yeah.
The Hamilton Road project that y'all have talked about, we've been talking about that for probably 3 years on whether or not just to completely rip out down to subsoil and replace, talk to the railroad about widening. When you're dealing with the railroad, everybody knows what it's like dealing with the railroad. They're probably going to say, no, we've got a trestle that comes across right there. Does Hamilton Road need to be replaced? Yes, it does. That is one of the main thoroughfares of the city of Bossier now that we have the carriageway open. I would love actually to get a traffic study done, and I will probably recommend that in the infrastructure, just so we know exactly how many vehicles are traveling up and down Hamilton Road every day. Because I guarantee guarantee you it has probably doubled or tripled since we have opened that carriageway. Now that people have finally figured out that you're not going to get stopped by a train heading north or south or getting to the interstate. So that is one thing that I will bring up at the infrastructure committee meeting also. But I will find out about everybody's districts and see what money everybody has left.
Fantastic. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Oh, look, it's Mr. Lowry.
Duke Lowry, 1017 Benton Road. The LCDA and paying off the bond, and you talked about you mentioned a difference that would have to come out of the general fund.
That's right.
What was that number? You may have said
A
it.
difference between 11.5 and 13, so 1.5. 1.5 million.
Okay.
And that's estimates, but ballpark.
Okay. Additionally, I think maybe the council, y'all would benefit from adopting some ordinance to say, for example, not to let projects without having all the required approvals, because I think, a lot of your, overruns that you had historically were, for example, the Shed Road crossing being closed, the lift station that you had to put in off of Benton Road, proximal to the carriageway emptying in there. Had you had all the approvals ahead of time, you wouldn't have had or you would have known you would have had those extra expenses. So I think that's something the council should look at doing or adopting, something to prevent us just running headfirst into a wall and not having all the answers,
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any other public comment?
Fair point.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
just, I can't get over that thing that we're already halfway in the middle of this project. And oh, by the way, we got to put a lift station in. We didn't already have the approvals, and they threw it off on DOTD and said, well, DOTD mandated this. And we went through all this. The email, we
Right.
showed the emails going back and forth, from all the people down there in Bossier with DOTD. It wasn't like this was no surprise that
Right.
they had not signed off on this stuff. The same thing with the Shed Road crossing. We lost the Shed Road crossing because they started this thing and they didn't have anything written, inked on paper with the railroad. And they tried to, I can't remember the name of those folks, but they tried to blame some other people, and they showed up
Right.
with their attorneys to the council meeting, and they wasn't going to have none of it. But still, nobody was held accountable for that. So, from city employees or elected officials in city vehicles, drinking or not drinking or doing whatever things that shouldn't be being done. Historically, I don't know that anybody's ever been held accountable. And, these mistakes here. I mean,
Right.
people have errors and omissions policies for a reason. I hope this council will, follow up on some of those. But I felt that needed to be said.
Yeah, and it's a very valid point, and we've pointed out many times on this very program, as a matter of fact, back when it happened a couple of years ago. So, all right, what else do we want to? Anything else really exciting that went on in the finance committee meeting? I'll say this: I really like the way. Again, I want to give credit where it's due. I really like the way Joel, as the chairman of that finance committee, ran that meeting. He gave Mr. Cliff Smith and Miss Deborah Ross plenty of time to speak and get their thoughts out. He was cordial to anybody that wanted to give up and give some comments. So overall, I still think they're doing a fairly fine job.
Yeah, I think so as well too. And I go back to that restream. There was one
Sure.
more clip we needed to play. Chris Smith made some comments at the end after I spoke, and
Yeah.
I think I have it time stamped.
Yep.
And let's listen to what he had to say.
Okay.
If you will oblige. So I met with Ms. Nottingham yesterday, and fantastic meeting. We discussed paying off this bond, the benefits that it has, both short-term and long-term. So short-term goals is it frees up us to be in a position where rolling forward a village is not necessary.
You should.
Sorry.
Oh, no. Long term, it saves the taxpayers millions of dollars. It also starts chipping away at some of our debt, which I think is a big win for us as well. So that is something that I'm completely on board with. One thing that we also discussed in that meeting is how we can also generate more revenue, whether it is making sure that all businesses are compliant with occupancy license, whether that is making sure that the sales tax department is being aggressive and making sure we're collecting all of our sales tax. We discussed again Parks and Rec's plan to generate more revenues through marketing and advertising. So all these different mechanisms that the city and the administration have been working hard on to generate more revenue, so it outweighs our expenses. So those were all good positive things. And then finally, we discussed again making sure that we look at everything. Whether it's a service that the city pays for, whether it's internet, phones, technology, printers. Or if it's a public works, if it's lawn mowing, that we're looking at all of our contracts and asking for new quotes on those and seeing where, just because something's worked for years, we might need to revisit that. And so I do appreciate Mayor Chandler, Ms. Nottingham. They've been hard at work.
They do shop around.
I think Ms. Nottingham mentioned that she's not always the best at communicating some of the great things that they're working on. So a lot of that meeting was very eye-opening for me. And so anyways, good things there. Again, I did want to, Councilman Hammonds and Mr. Crockett mentioned the surplus money that we give each district. So I heard your concerns. So that's something that we can work on as well. If in the future years we feel like we need to expand that, but that is money that we have set aside. And then there was one other thing. Hold on, I was taking some notes.
I wonder if they set the timer on him.
I think that's it, actually. I had something else. I had something else. Yeah, it'll come back to me. But no. We also talked about over the next coming months, really looking at the city's vehicle policies, who has take-home vehicles, who has pooled vehicles, how many of those vehicles we need on the street, really just diving in, because as fuel costs continue to rise, as cars become more expensive and replacement parts also become more expensive, that's an opportunity the city has in the future and future budgets to really look at. So overall, I think this has been a good process. And I think the final budget's going to be something we're all happy with. So thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
But he was close to staying within his 3 minutes anyway.
Yeah. So anyway, that was a good summation. I honestly, I don't know why I was sitting there. I didn't hear what he said. I wanted to hear it again. I did have a paper in my hand I was reading while I should have been paying attention. But.
Yeah. All right. Well, the basics of that, and look, I strongly encourage, we both do, folks to go to YouTube. One, subscribe to us on YouTube if you're not already under Bossier Watch. And number two, go to the city's YouTube channel, because they have this finance committee meeting on the YouTube channel. If you want to go back and see exactly what was said or watch the whole meeting, we would certainly encourage you to do that, not just necessarily listening to our commentary. So the only thing I wish they would do, we got to get on Mr. Smith about this. They need to increase the volume level on their sound about 25 to 30%. I have to boost the sound on every video that they do. Just a little technical tidbit there, Mr. Smith.
I don't know. Maybe we can talk to him about it, or maybe Hambo.
Who's my councilman? Joel's my councilman.
Give them some coaching lessons on speaking up.
Yeah, exactly. All right. What else do we want to discuss? Anything, really important going on in the political world around Bossier this week?
No, I don't think that there is anything, with the exception of, Biscuit running for DA. I think that's going to be an interesting dynamic over across the river there. can't wait to see how that one's going to pan out. I mean,
Gee, I
what
can't wait to get that campaign video too. I wonder what that one's going to look like.
I don't know, but
Hmm.
that'll be fun to see.
Hey, before we get out of here, so Miss Ruth just had a good comment. She said, "Can I ask this question?" Of course you can, Miss Ruth. That's what this show and the comments, live comments, and all that are for. Why does this portrait vary from what we have been told about city debt? Paging Mr. Sadow, if you're still in the comments. Maybe you might want to do an article about this. So, even though the city is in good shape, I'm just going to give you, Rex's simplified version off the cuff. Even though the city is in good financial shape, the city has had to borrow to do a lot of the infrastructure products, like many other governments had. Their borrowing is done through these bonds, the sale of these bonds, and through the bond commission and the LCDA and all that, to be able to do these infrastructure and different projects. So while the city has enough revenue coming in to basically maintain and pay off that debt, the city still does, in fact, have a lot of debt. I mean, you heard them say just by shifting monies from one bond basically to pay off the other one, it's going to save the city about $45 million in interest alone. So the city does have a lot of debt, but the city is in good financial shape, according to all of this. It's like, even though you may have some credit cards, you may have some credit card debts, and maybe you have a house note or something like that or whatever, and some vehicle notes, you still got enough income to pay all of that. And I think that's what they mean by the city is in good shape. That is Rex's simplified view, which probably is not totally correct from a financial perspective. All right.
Yeah, I agree with that. Couldn't have said it better.
Yeah. All right. Anything else, Mr. Lowry?
That's all I have. Till next week. Hopefully, there will be some political shenanigans going on. I think maybe Mr. Friday, like we were talking about in Benton, put forward that Naren fella to be the city attorney. Just,
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost like
Yeah,
it was
they had
predictable.
they had a meeting up in Benton tonight. I wonder if what's his name, Chris Redford. I wonder if he live streamed it. If not, we'll have to see if we can get a copy of the meeting video. I forgot about that. Yeah, we'll have to watch over that and give it our review between now and next Tuesday. Hey, I appreciate everybody watching the show. We've had Duke, something 50 plus people watching for most of it, and it's kind of a slow political week, so we appreciate everybody. Make sure and go like and subscribe on YouTube if you haven't already. It's easy to find us. Look up Bossier Watch on YouTube. The reason is Facebook deletes the live video streams after 30 days. It's a policy they started in 2025. We have all of the shows are archived on the YouTube channel, including most of the other ones. I've still got to activate and upload a few of the old ones, but they're all over on the YouTube channel. So we would encourage you to also go over to YouTube and subscribe there, and go over there and subscribe to the Bossier City channel as well. That way you can watch the meetings in their entirety there. But anyway, so that's pretty much all the spill I've got to do for the end of the show. What say you, Mr. Lowry?
Y'all have a good evening. Thanks. See you next week.